You could make one decision to unleash everything great in your life. Would you do it? Would you say yes? Aren't you tired of your relationships, your health, and so much more suffering because you lack the truth you need to change? The life you desire is within your reach. You can achieve all the success, happiness, and prosperity you deserve by simply learning the secrets that lead to real personal transformation. Change is hard, but not impossible. You just have to make one radical decision to get real. And there's no better authority on the real steps to change than David G. Evans.
Some men trust in chariots. Some men trust in horses. But we will trust in the Lord.
David G. Evans is leading the charge to bring you the power to change your life. He is committed to the mission of helping you transform and become a person of power, and it starts with his all-new system to change your situation. At the centerpiece of this life-altering collection is David Evans' groundbreaking training course. From ridiculous to radical to real, this means war. In this series, you will discover the steps to change. This series includes 2 powerful messages, each on winning the battle in your mind and cultivating a language of faith. That's 4 messages, 4 power-filled hours of material. If you want a better marriage, this series has the answers. If you want to achieve financial independence God's way, the secrets in this series will empower you to make it happen. If you want a life of power, anointing, and influence, this series will show you how to get it, and there's more. You're looking for serious, immediate results. So Bishop Evans will also include one of his best-selling messages called Weapon of Warfare. This classic teaching will build you up to start fighting in the spirit for what you deserve. This powerhouse collection, from ridiculous to radical to real, and Weapon of Warfare, will give you all the biblical strategies you need to change anything in your life. This collection will ship to you immediately with your gift today to David G. Evans Ministries. This ministry is revolutionizing the kingdom by empowering believers. Souls are being saved daily, and we need your help to grow this impact in a real way. Call now and sow your seed of just $35 for your transformation to help people around the world. Your $35 love gift goes straight to the front lines of ministry, providing help to those that need it most. Call now. Make the decision to get the power you need to change your life forever.
It's the catalyst for change you've been waiting on. New Mind, New Me, from Bishop David G. Evans.
I want to be loved. Why do I take the person that loves me and kick them to the curb? I want to be wealthy, but I spend all my money. You were created and given a slave, a doulos, a servant called your mind. Your mind is out of order when it questions your command.
If you are ready for true transformation, Bishop David G. Evans would like to bless you with the New Mind, New Me 4-message DVD set. Order today, and you will also receive Bishop Evans' national best-selling book, Healed Without Scars, as well as the Healed Without Scars music CD.
My mind's going where I tell it to go. It'll never go back. It's my mind. It's going to do what I say.
All yours when you visit our website or call 1-800-591-8480 today. Be prepared to watch a new you emerge.
Type of thing in there. Praise the Lord, everybody. Welcome to OnPointe, the #1 Saturday morning Christian-based call-in talk show in America, live every Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on any smart device at David G. Evans, the #1. At David G. Evans, the #1. We want you to join us in our stimulating conversation from week to week as we talk about politics and sports, current events which impact your life, culture, religion, of course faith, but always from a biblical kingdom perspective. So we have opposing views, but we know how to disagree without being disagreeable. We have a great time talking to our callers that call from all around the country, Sometimes we get some international calls, which are always blessed. But we want you to join us today as my world-famous co-host, Pastor Nick, is here. How you doing, man?
I'm doing okay.
You can give us a call at 866-743-8267. That's 866-743-8267. That's 866-74-EVANS. Give us a call. We'd love to hear from you, talk to you about those things that are on your mind, relevant to your life, and try to give you the biblical perspective on how to approach those things, how to think about those things. You know, the Bible is very clear on the transformation of our minds, but also very clear on intentionally focusing our thoughts when our kingdom or righteous thoughts are challenged. It says, think on these things. In other words, create the mindset you want to enjoy and live, which is an amazing possibility, amazing principle, amazing alternative to being inundated by other kinds of thoughts which impact the way you feel. I don't know about, I do know about Pastor Nick. I know about myself. My thought patterns really have a lot to do with what I feel. And it's imperative, the Bible lets us know there's instruction there for changing the way you think, therefore changing the way you feel. But it's not a one-time quick fix thing. It's something you have to work on and be intentional about. In a world where bad news is the popular news and where things are happening that are challenging our peace, it is a great tool to be able to switch your thoughts from what your circumstance is suggesting to what God says the transformed mind thinks. And it says be transformed by the renewing of your mind, by the constant renewal of your mind. God has given us a sound mind, the ability to look through things, see through things to the right solution. Sons of Issachar understood the times, and because of the word of God, knew exactly what to do in the times they were facing. So we need you to join us this morning in our conversation. Of course, we're going to talk about some political stuff. We're going to have to talk about the shooting in Colorado. And I understand the same thing happened at Walmart. There are a few other things going on in the country that we want to bring relevance to. On the sports side, it seems like everything's heating up. The football's heating up. The college football's heating up. The basketball's heating up. It's really a great time of year for sports. 866-743-8267, 866-743-8267. So a lot of things come out of this election. As I was watching the results off and on, I got a little confused because they were talking about it seemed like the Democrats were winning like landslide things. And what happened was it shifted from the Republicans in the House to Democrats in the Senate.
Yeah, just flip-flop.
Yeah, it flip-flopped. And the way it was, because I'm looking at all the results, and I'm looking at the other side. I said, this doesn't look like what they're talking about. Then I figured there was almost an entire flip-flop of the entire situation.
Yeah, that's all it really was. And you had people jumping the gun too fast.
Yeah.
All this person like Bobart, she lost. They're still counting, y'all. Slow down.
Yeah.
I mean, she just barely won, but again, she won.
Yeah.
And
I understand the Lake lady is still not conceding.
Yeah, she's gonna. I just saw it this morning. She's gonna fight it and do all that.
Why?
Well, she's one of those big Trump deniers. So
okay.
She had a crowd of people outside the election building praying and.
My problem is this. I've never seen a winner challenge the legitimacy of an election.
Yep.
But you just can't challenge it only if you lose.
Right.
Every loss, something was wrong.
Yeah.
But every win, we were perfectly right.
Perfectly right, yeah. If they all of a sudden found 20 votes, praise God. But if it's for their side.
Yeah. And the other thing I think that bugs me is that, if you're having a presidential election and you get 100,000 people nationwide, regardless of party affiliation, that maybe voted twice. That is not going to affect an election that is divided by millions.
Yeah, you're talking about 10, 15 people that they found.
Yeah. and the whole thing is.
And usually the voter fraud are going towards Republicans.
Yes,
not
I
towards
know.
Democrats.
I know.
They don't want to think that.
You know, the guys that are on trial right now, I think the Proud Boys, they were saying that a lot of their guys voted twice.
Yeah.
You know, but that number wouldn't affect the national election.
Not at all. Not at all. When it's by thousands.
And the thing is, okay, is it only wrong when the people you oppose are voting twice? Why isn't it wrong if you vote twice?
Well, it's them saving democracy. So January 6th was their attempt to.
But that wasn't the way to do it.
Right.
That wasn't the way to do it. So they said a record number of women will serve in Congress this year.
Yeah. Still a small minority, but it's better. It's getting there.
Okay.
It's getting there.
But it's a record number.
It's a record number, yeah.
And then a record number of people of color, Black and Latino women, will serve.
Yep.
Now, what do you think is this, I don't want to call it surge, increase in females, period, across the board, representing the United States in government?
I think you're seeing the equality piece being discussed more.
Okay.
Especially with the whole abortion and women's rights stuff.
Right.
You're seeing more women run.
Okay.
So you're seeing a big surge in that.
Okay.
But I think though it's real represent these women nowadays, which I'm glad about. They're standing up, saying this is what we need. This is what we want, and we're going to vote the people in.
Sure.
That are going to support what we support.
And
I'm
it's,
not against it.
It's kind of strange. I find it. I don't want to call it a contradiction. That's the only word I can think of at this moment. I find it strange when certain women get into office and all of a sudden start to approach politics almost in a traditional male kind of point of view. I mean, just things that are detrimental to females, they start voting for. I find that to be amazing.
Yeah. I mean, from what I understand, well, you know, you've been around.
Yeah.
The cesspool of our politics. It doesn't. The person doesn't change the pool. The pool changes the person.
Yes. You jump in the swamp, you get the swamp on you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically that.
Okay.
But what amazes me too, like we see it in like slave shows or like Handmaid's Tale, like different kind of shows, how people in the oppressed crowd continue to help the system of oppression.
Yes.
Because they feel like, well, I'm an oppressed, but I'm not like these people that are being oppressed.
Well, it's that old. When I was serving one of the state's commissions, we would get to a, voting something that was millions of dollars, and I had to bring up at a meeting. I said, we've got a couple minority contractors. I said, but they're not bringing other minority contractors to the table. So, the commissioner, the head commissioner, asked me what I think that's about. I said, well, they're getting to the upper floor and pulling their ladder up.
Yep.
I said, and that's wrong. I said, so since we see that repeatedly, it's up to us to reinstall the ladder.
Yes. Yeah. And we take it back to ours. For some, the field slave versus the house slave. I'm still a slave, but at least I'm in the house. Yeah. I'm not like y'all.
Yeah.
But it amazes me how selfish we can often be.
Well, I think what we have to guard ourselves against is once we reach a level of success, and I was kind of glad that the Lord led me to that whole thing on success and prosperity on Sunday, and how that needs to be shared, especially among people in the body of Christ. We need not get to a position and then stop speaking to everybody around the office, and then pull the ladder up so no one else gets an opportunity. I just think we need to. God gives us to share, not just for us. He gives us to share and impact other people's lives.
Yep, true. And Shakira brought up something that we talk about in the preacher thing. I know you bring this up a lot too. Yeah. So she said women are constantly taught that to reach certain levels of leadership, they have to forsake their femininity and model male behavior. So that era where most of the female preachers preached like guys, because that was the thing.
Well, there's still a lot of that.
You're seeing a little more ones that can be.
But there's still, those ladies are few.
Yeah.
And they're gaining popularity. And I see a subtle shift. But I don't see the recovery from, it's going to get me in some trouble, but this is what I observe. I don't see the recovery from a victim you hurt and you're staying hurt, and your problem is everybody else's problem but yours. There's a few of the one, and I know a group of them. A few of the ones that are I know the aggressive preaching ones. I know the ones that are maintaining their femininity and not trying to preach like men, because that's what it was like. Yeah. And we went through an era where the women that preached more like the males were considered the better preachers.
Yes. And you're right, they forsook their femininity, like when you talked about when you worked at the bank.
Absolutely.
With the box.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. In order to fit in, and not realizing that no matter what you do, to some people, you still just a woman. You still just this.
Yeah.
No matter how hard you fit in, they never really accept you.
Well, and here's the thing. So, and maybe some of our listeners don't know about the example I gave when I was working in banking. We were talking about equality in the office, and I think I may have been the only minority in the office. So everybody else was not black, and there were no other people of color in the office. And equality of pay came up one day. And I said, and I'm summarizing so we don't have to draw this out. I said basically, you've got the money, but you've given up who you are. Yeah. And the room went quiet. And I'm saying, look at you, minimal makeup. Now I didn't say to go over the top. So you got your hair severely pulled back. You're not, you got these suits on that downgrade your femininity. You got these ugly heels you're wearing every day, And man, over the next 3 or 4 days, because they realized they got the money, but they lost themselves.
Yes.
And that happens to a lot of minorities. It happens to communities. I understand there's a little bit of that going on in Florida with supposedly, allegedly, some people of Cuban and Hispanic backgrounds are identifying themselves, as white, and just to try to fit in and get ahead, but they're giving up who they are.
Yeah, and I think this is where we talk about a country of people who from all over supposedly celebrate different cultures, melting pot. Mm-hmm. But there's still that stigma of, and I'm just gonna say it like this: that white is better. Mm-hmm. Anything in your culture doesn't fit into this system isn't looked down on. Then you have those people who are willing to forsake their culture,
right,
to adopt something that's not their culture.
Absolutely.
To demean where you came from. I think we can all be in America, celebrate our culture, cultural difference.
Yep.
And let's be who we are, especially if we're honest here. Other cultures will bite on black culture stuff and to be celebrated for them.
Absolutely.
But we look down when we do it.
Absolutely.
I'm just saying.
Well, if you
box braids,
if you look at the box braids, the dreadlocks, the pants down around your hips, I mean, all those different trends that have gone cultural are now. And here's the thing. Even in sports, you get a white guy that can handle the ball. They say he plays like a black man.
Yeah.
Larry Bird said when one team he was playing, and they put a white guy on him. Of course, Larry Bird is white. Mm-hmm. He walked over to the bench and said, "You guys are disrespecting me." He said, "What do you mean with disrespect?" I think Charles Barkley told the story. He said, "What do you mean with disrespecting me?" He said, "You got a white guy guarding me?" Yeah. And I'm like, "Come on!" I'm like, "Bird, what's?" But it just shows you where we are.
Yeah.
And how we think, and it's unfortunate. When Israel came out of Egypt, the Bible clearly says they came out a mixed multitude, multiracial, whatever you could think, ethnic. It was a mixed multitude, saved, unsaved. They came out with them, And somewhere along the line, even in the body of Christ, I'm not sure we're that mixed multitude anymore.
No.
The separation is painful.
Yes, it is. And we're all for maintaining your cultural identity while assimilating or bringing other cultural experiences. But like we talk about, there are so many black churches that lost their identity because somebody told them how you do it is emotional, it's wrong.
Yep.
And then you lose you trying to fit into a culture, then come to find out years later, they still don't like you.
I've got friends in the faith movement I've got friends who are in different assemblies, and when we would go fellowship with those particular people, they would see the energy and the vibration and the power of what we were doing, and then sit there with me and say, I gotta get me a choir back, and and my question was, why'd you give it up? Yeah. But when they went to wherever they went to get taught the faith movement, they were told that their style of worship was incorrect, and they gave that up.
Yep. In order to
fit in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and then later on, in the last 5 or 6 years, people of color in the faith movement, under those major heads, found out that there was a not so subtle prejudice that surfaced. Only because the children were no longer babies playing on the floor at the church. They were teens. Now they were interested in each other. And why not? Because they had grown up together at these conventions.
Yeah. But again, that's a step too far. You can, again, there's a church around us.
Okay.
I'm going to say the name.
Okay.
We went there when we were younger for Sunday school for a few weeks.
Okay.
They kept the community kids of color separate.
Did they?
From their kids.
No. At the Sunday school?
Yes. Because they didn't want the mixture of.
No.
You could be in the church. When I tell you the church after, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You could be in the church, but you could not participate as much with the culture of the church.
Well, I remember, and I don't know if you'll remember. Everybody's listening; they're not calling. I don't know if you remember, but we were our staff was integrated. Our staff has always been a mixture of males, females, and at one point different ethnicities. And so one of our team members said, "Let's go over to this church in Philadelphia." And so we went, because he thought they had something to show us. So we're talking. And so I asked an obvious question about the school and the racial mix and all. And the guy told us flat out, we don't mind them coming to the school, but we don't want them coming to church. Not knowing that our Caucasian staff member was married to a black woman. So had 2 mixed race kids. And I, of course I adjourned the meeting at that point.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go. And I said to him, you'd be allowed, but your wife and your children wouldn't be allowed to be part of the church. What do you think of that? Yeah. He had no answer for it.
Of course not.
And this is a major church in Philadelphia, with a tremendous reputation. And the guy was clear. We don't mind him paying the tuition to go to school. So over there's fine. In the church, we're not encouraging that participation.
It's like we can only accept you if it's on our terms. Which means I really don't want to accept you for who you are as a person.
It's just, you want to be plain about it. But it was staggering to him, and it was. I think we have to accept. Not everybody feels the same. Yep. But at the same time, because the United States is supposed to be a place of equal opportunity, we find ourselves in debates and in situations politically, educationally, where I don't think we should still be voting on voting right acts.
No.
And I don't think that there should be a case before the Supreme Court talking about equal opportunity is illegal.
Yes.
Basically, that's what it's saying.
Yeah.
That we're a mixed nation, but we need to have some restrictions for people who are the majority now.
Yeah.
And the way to keep that majority away from these opportunities is to legislate things that don't give them opportunity.
Yeah.
And this is education, jobs, and it'll leak into housing. But this is America.
Yeah.
This is the famous melting pot of the world.
Yeah. And where people complain about affirmative action, my complaint is, why do we need it in the first place? We shouldn't even need it.
Yeah, but they had to do it because we needed it.
We needed it, but we shouldn't have affirmative action. It's racist. Well, obviously it's there for a reason, but when you bring that up, they never have any. Well, why was it there in the first place?
Because it's a response to an existing reality.
Let's fix the reality.
Yeah, let's fix it. And the only way, and if you don't legislate, it doesn't happen. In the Bible, the commandments are put in place because man's conscience would not drive him towards those decisions.
Yeah.
So God says, this is what you're going to have to do. And he puts it there to, if you will, create a conscience.
Yeah.
So now I've got this conscience that's based upon the law that was given to me.
Yeah. So now I know when I'm wrong.
Right.
Because this is
God had to legislate it.
But it just amazes me how. But I'm also glad because now we're seeing somewhat of that revolutionary look from like the 70s coming back with this younger generation. I think they grew up thinking everything was fine.
Yeah.
And then the past few years smacked them in the face.
Yeah.
And they're like,
I know kids that are in their 20s, late 20s, mid 20s to 30s that actually did not consider that when they were having a problem, there was a racial element to it. Because they just thought everybody was the same. Finding out now that they're not.
Yep.
866-743-8267, 866-743-8267. This is On Point, the number one Saturday morning Christian-based call-in talk show in America, coming to you live every Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on any smart device at David G. Evans, the number one. We're going to go to Danny from Lauderhill, Florida, and we hope some of the rest of you will get our opening monologue was a little long, but I hope it was interesting for you today as we're talking about those things that matter. Hey, Danny, how you doing?
Good morning, Bishop. How you doing this morning?
Doing good, man. What's going on?
All right. Good morning, Pastor Nick and staff. How's everybody doing? How's the weather today?
it is almost December.
It is almost December, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
How you doing, man? What's happening? Talk to me.
I'm going to have a beach day. I think I had to slip that in, Bishop. You got me.
What's the weather down there today?
We should be in about 81, somewhere in there.
Oh,
81.
I really feel bad for you suffering. You're really suffering. 81. It's November.
Right.
Yes. So we're almost back to normal.
Oh my goodness! You mean my sister had to put her boots and stuff back in the closet?
Had to put them back.
Lord have mercy. I feel bad for her. She can't wear a scarf. She can't wear a hat.
Well, next month we should be able to do that, and we do welcome the end of November, which indicates the end of hurricane season for us.
Wow.
And then March we'll just start up again, resupply, get everything.
Wait a minute. Hurricane season is from March to November?
Yes. No. It's March to November. Yes.
What?
I didn't know it was March. I always knew summertime.
Yeah, you're right. When you start stocking up, preparing.
Because it can happen any time between March and September.
Right.
March and November.
Right.
Amazing. No wonder you get so many.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your comment today, Dan? Thank you for the hurricane education this morning.
I'd just like to say that, interesting topics that you open up with, but just to touch with something that you said that I brought up about months ago about our governor and what his inspirations and what he wanted to do. All of this stuff ties in, and now I understand why he was making these trips to New York and up and up.
Okay.
I didn't understand it. I never would have thought that he would be accepted the way that he is, and something was in the mix, that they were doing something. Now it all comes to view.
Yeah,
That's where his money is.
Yeah, I think, but also he was looking to expand he was testing the water to see whether he could have a national platform. The problem is that he's still going to have, he's a lot like our former president, a little more sophisticated. I think he's a little more political, but I think he's just as lethal. I read something in the Bible in Psalm, I believe 109, about how words were as smooth but lethal, and soft as oil but swords.
Yes.
That a lot of times people are deceived because the approach is soft, But their words, although they're soft, they have war in their heart, and their words are really weapons of warfare.
Psalm 55:21.
Okay, what's it say?
His talk is smooth as butter,
Mm-hmm.
yet war in his heart. His words are soothing than oil, yet they are drawn swords.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Jeez.
And
Yeah.
there's key words that are said. Great again.
So it's 55, not 109.
55:21. Yep.
Yeah, I've been studying 55 and 109.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yes.
But actually, what they're saying, let's go back to our old ways.
Absolutely. And I think
Mhm.
I think your governor is just a more sophisticated Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, just as lethal, maybe even more so.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah. He
Because
just
I
bluntly
think
said
I think some of the things they put in place in your state, Dan, are borderline illegal,
Mm-hmm.
and then they're enforcing them.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I understand that the guy that ran against him this time, it was like chalk and cheese.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because everybody thought, he got him because DeSantis didn't do good in the debates. The guy ate him up in the debates.
Oh,
but
did he?
Yes.
From what they
Uh-huh.
say, DeSantis always loses debates, but he always wins the elections. He's not a good debater, but
But he's a good campaigner.
he's a good campaigner. And People
Okay.
like him.
Okay.
But also they only talk to certain groups of people like Miami-Dade County.
Well, they went to their
Ignored
base.
the rest. Right. And
Yeah.
then they redistrict areas in the north.
I heard about that.
Redistrict, and nobody challenged that. That's what they
I know I ask the same question just about every other week, but when something happens like that, that's clearly illegal. Why doesn't the federal government step in?
Yeah, they got to take it to courts and do all. They did it in North Carolina. I'm surprised they didn't do it in Florida.
It doesn't make any sense. How do you know? See the tactic, and here's why can't the federal government in that kind of case move quicker or as quick as the thieves? I mean, somebody's breaking in your house, you jump up out of the bed. You don't start saying, "Who is it?"
Right.
or wait till morning.
Yeah. So my sister's doing all right, Dan?
Yes, very much so. Very much so, Bishop.
Please tell her I asked for her, man. We're going to take Tom next, right after. You guys from Florida always hit us first.
Yeah.
Well, we look forward to when sometimes you and Pastor Nick might come down this way, and I'm praying for that time so that we'll be able to come to see you. Or
Absolutely.
You come down this way.
Absolutely, man. Look forward to it.
Yeah.
All right, Bishop.
All right. See you soon.
Pastor Nick, thank you.
See you, man.
Bye-bye. 866-743-8267, 866-743-8267. Tom is on the phone. We're going to him next. I actually met Danny and his wife at a service I preached. They drove up from Lauderhill to Orlando when I was at on the Living Edge Church, and they came up, I believe, on 2 occasions. I was able to meet him, and it was a great time. It was a great time. I think one time they may have stayed afterwards with us. I'm not sure, but they came, and I was, you talk to somebody for years, and then all of a sudden you meet them. It's pretty cool.
That's cool.
Let's go to Tom. Hey, Tom, how you doing this morning, man?
Good morning, Bishop. That's a nice sweater you got on.
Thank you. You know the old ones usually last.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking, maybe hook up with Danny and go down to the beach or something. Danny was incorrect on one thing, though.
What's that?
We can start preparing for hurricanes in March, but they actually aren't listed to come to after June.
Okay, so they do come in the summer.
Yeah, they're from June to November. But people start preparing in March.
Cool. So you have to get your stuff in. You have to get your water and all that in, because if you wait too long.
It may not be there.
Okay.
Now, you talk about our illustrious governor.
Mm-hmm.
He the guy who ran against him wasn't that great. But the problem with our governor, and I hope this is going to happen, when he starts debating people like Trump, he hasn't debated anybody who's worth anything.
Okay.
If you go to the last election, the black guy almost beat.
That's true.
And when he gets on a national stage, and Trump starts, throwing stuff at him, he may not look as,
They say he doesn't fight well.
He doesn't fight well. He doesn't debate well. But when he's by himself, he's cool. Because he can talk trash by himself.
Yeah.
But in front of another person, he's not strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's ready for Trump.
So how did your, I know he won the election, but how did those people what's the mindset of those people who did not vote for him? How did you get any opinions from people?
Figure out how he got Dade County, which includes Miami, which is a Cuban vote, and
Well, that's how he got it. The Cuban vote voted for him.
yeah. And when you talk about selling the soul, you look at guys like Marco Rubio, who's our senator. Other than him saying he's Cuban every once in a while, you would think he's just another Caucasian politician.
His name is Rubio, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So he's Cuban?
Yes. So is Ted Cruz.
Cruz is Cuban?
I knew he was Hispanic.
Yeah,
I knew he was Hispanic. I knew he was Cuban.
They
No.
only say it when they need it.
Really?
Really?
That makes sense why he keeps winning in Texas then.
Okay.
But yeah, because his real name is Raphael. Yeah. Raphael Edward Cruz. That's his real name.
His name's Rafael Cruz,
Raphael Edward Cruz. That's his real name.
and he calls himself what? Ted?
He goes by Ted Cruz.
How do you get Ted out of Rafael?
trying to figure
Oh, he uses a second name, Edward. Ted is short for Edward.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, and like I said, those guys are doing exactly.
I don't understand why it is.
Yeah, I did.
But Edwards are called Teds.
I did
Okay.
not know that. Okay.
Yeah.
So the Ted name makes him acceptable. Other crap.
Yeah.
Cruz keeps him. Yeah.
Wow.
Interesting. Did not know that.
Okay. What else is happening? What else happening, Tom?
Nothing much really. Especially when you talk about affirmative action earlier.
Yeah.
People don't realize it's for catch up. People have to catch up.
Mm-hmm.
For years, like me, for instance, personally, my father was the school system he was in.
Mm-hmm.
He was the first black teacher in that system.
Really?
He was the first black administrator in that system. And it was part of catching up for affirmative action
Mm-hmm.
for opportunities weren't there.
What state was he working in, Tom?
Sorry?
What state was he working in?
New Jersey,
What year are you talking about he was the first?
1963.
Get out. Wow. I worked at a company in Philadelphia that will remain nameless at this point, but I worked there during the college years. And they had separate locker rooms up until the 60s. And it's a world famous company, separate locker rooms. And the company is in a very racially significant or specific area. But they had separate locker rooms up until, I believe, the 60s.
Okay. I believe that.
Yeah.
I totally believe that.
Wow.
Yeah,
He-
something else people don't realize.
So did he ever give you any? Now I was first in a lot of positions that I had. Did he ever give you any stories about what being first was like?
No, not really. My father tried to shield my brother and I from a lot of cultural racism.
Okay.
So I didn't see it. And then when I wasn't the first black guy on staff, but I was probably about the third.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the guys I worked with, who was African American,
Mm-hmm.
I detected a real jealousy. And I found out he was totally did not want me on staff with him.
Well, that happens a lot in corporate life, especially when there's a trailblazer and they're no longer special. I mean I've been a trailblazer in a lot of positions that I had in my professional career outside the church, and you'd be amazed at the number of people that would not sit with you at lunch because they didn't want to be identified with you. And these are, people that were the same race I was. They just didn't want to be identified by their peers as communing with me. But they didn't know I liked eating lunch by myself. they didn't know it.
Something else a lot of people don't know. Affirmative action has promoted more white females
I'm sure.
than anybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just an African American or Hispanic thing. White females have benefited from this more than anybody.
But I think because of that is another reason that they haven't talked about that aspect of affirmative action. That has helped a tremendous number of females of all ethnicities get ahead. They're not playing up on that. But at the same time, I don't think the women understand that this affirmative action thing. The non people of color women don't understand that this affirmative action thing is going to impact them in a tremendous way. Because a lot of guys are having a problem with the positions that white women hold. CEOs, CFOs, that all those top positions that women are occupying now, a lot of men still have a problem with that. The club I belong to in Philadelphia didn't have women in until maybe the 70s.
I'm sure. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, and never held office until maybe the 2000s.
Wow. I'm sure. And then that brings up another issue too, though, is that it goes back to even the women's movement back in the 1900s, where the white women and the black women got together to help get women's right to vote. But the white women said, Susan B. Anthony is on record for saying this, his mothers, that they basically were saying that we'll fight to get our right to vote as white women, and then y'all black women come after us. Okay. So there's still that thing of we're women, but there are some, not all, there are some white women out there that will fight for us. You can help us get there. Yeah. And then we'll possibly come back and get you. Yeah. So it goes back to that whole web of oppressed people oppress other people, and it's we tend to, I don't know what happens to us. Like you would think that you see more white women say, okay, let's bring some more minority black women up here, Spanish, but you see it from some. And I tell you what it's about. You got to picture a shelf, and there's only room on that shelf for certain vessels, and people are fighting like territory to maintain their space. It's like that in corporate life. It's like that whether you're male or female, whether you're black or white. It's like that in ministry. There's only so much room at the top, and they're fighting to hold on to it. Yep. And forgetting about the folk that helped them. Absolutely. Yeah.
And
that's crazy.
You guys, when you open the show, you're talking about women in ministry and women in politics. I went to a graduation a couple years back with my ex, and she was getting her master's in computer science. And it was up at the Middle End. And what I noticed was that, first I said, man, there's no black guys, no brothers out there getting a graduate degree. It was Rutgers, NG, it was like 4 different schools.
That's how they do it. Saves money.
Yeah, so I'm like, man, and then I noticed I didn't see any white guys getting a master's either. I saw some Asian guys. It was mainly women getting their grad degrees. And then when I went to PhD, I didn't see any men at all, other than Asian guys. So I think we see a lot more women going towards politics and other things just because of the educational level.
Well, I think a lot more women overall are getting education. And I don't know why. I don't know whether it's lack of opportunity or lack of interest. But it's decided. I remember when I used to go on public transportation, and we're going to get to you right now. I remember when I used to take public transportation to work, and the train and the bus, 70% female. On the way to work.
Yeah. Wow. When they say I gotta find the book and read it. It says it's a great book. It talks about the boys' crisis in America. Okay. And I think what happened was we were pushing girls to kind of catch up to where the boys were educationally, work-wise, which is fine. I'm all for that.
Absolutely.
Problem was we forgot to push the boys
at the same time
to stay. Okay. So you're seeing a lot less boys go to school, work, emotional issues. So we're seeing this crisis amongst our young men. It's just like we've always seen lazy men. Yeah. But you're seeing a laziness from.
It's apathy.
Okay. All right. Okay.
It's It's apathy.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. I think that. I think we're in a place where the drive has seemed to have left us. And when I was growing up, if I didn't have enough money, my next thought was, I need another job.
Yeah, let's go work. Yeah.
So I'd go work 3-4 days a week somewhere else, or I'd tell my boss, whatever you wanted.
Yep.
You need somebody for overtime, work an extra shift.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready.
Yep.
And then when they gave me the opportunity, I did it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure we have that same drive, man.
No, it's lessening and lessening, which is sad to see.
Yeah. Tom, we got to go, man. We're going to go to Lucy.
Take care of this.
All right, talk to you now. Bye-bye. Hi, Lucy. Welcome to On Point.
Good morning.
Hi, Bishop. How are you this morning?
Good.
Doing all right. Thank you for calling us.
And good morning, Pastor.
Good
Nick.
morning.
What I want to talk about or be thankful for is I looked at a presentation by Reverend Tiff about mental health during the holidays.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was very, very excellently presented and
Okay.
was on time. And I hope a lot of people would take the opportunity to, look at that when they're not doing anything else or looking for some, inspiration during this time of the year. And then the second thing I want to thank Pastor Nick and Reverend Tiff for the presentation that they did on the linked couples ministry.
Mm-hmm.
It was excellent. Again, like I said, nice presentation, and I'm looking forward to seeing part 2. Even though I'm not a couple, it still applies.
Yeah, I think when you have principles, a lot of principles just apply to life.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And because our philosophy a long time ago was, you used to hear people talk about Christian husbands and Christian wives, Christian sons and Christian daughters. And it was as though becoming a Christian would make you a good son, good daughter, good husband, good wife. And we realized a long time ago, you can only be a good something as strong as you are a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
So we started focusing on the discipleship of people, realizing that the stronger your discipleship is, the greater somebody you'll be to somebody else.
Right.
But historically, they teach to titles, not to people.
Right. So I want to give that commercial to everyone who's listening on OnPointe. Please look up those 2 presentations.
You got them, Pastor Nick?
Yes,
find them.
and also, like I say, look forward to part 2 with Pastor Nick and Reverend Tiff.
Absolutely.
What we're doing through the holidays, from Thanksgiving to Christmas, is doing like a managing the holiday series.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple of videos out
Mm-hmm.
each week talking
Mm-hmm.
about either grief,
Yep.
family problems,
Yep.
all that kind of thing. So just look out for them.
Great. Okay.
Thank you for calling, Lucy.
Okay, you're welcome. Take care. God bless.
Bye-bye now. 866-743-8267, 866-743-8267. This is On Point. We're going to Scott from Vineland. Good morning, Scott. How you doing?
Good morning, Bishop Evans, Pastor Nick. What's going on?
Hey, man.
What's your comment today, man?
What's that?
What's your comment today?
Comment of course, Mr. Trump again. How is, it may sound dumb, I probably know the question, but all the stuff he did, during COVID and all the other mess, how is he still able to run? He's walking around scot-free. This is probably a question from Naya, too. But they locked Bill Cosby up, and all I heard was because he wanted to buy NBC. But how is Mr. Trump still able to run for president again after all the mess he's done? It blows my mind.
Well, I think that the system does not treat people equally.
Okay.
Okay, and we've been saying for years, who determines what? The who determines what happens. Everything's not the same. It's
Right.
We try to say it is, but there's distinct differences.
Yeah.
Money makes a big difference. Race can make a difference.
Okay.
Who can make a difference.
Yep.
If you can afford good representation when you go to court, you got a better chance that if you can't afford good representation, it's not equal.
Right. Okay. It just blows my mind. And of course, we all know whatever Bill did, he might have been right or wrong, but
No,
all I heard was he wanted to buy NBC.
No, that wasn't the only thing he was able to. He just was. I don't know.
Okay.
He did some stuff
Okay.
that
was true.
a celebrity shouldn't have to do,
Yes.
but and people waited to talk about it, But I think that the NBC could have been the catalyst. But I understand these things have been,
Yeah.
But he's out of jail,
He's out
right?
of jail, yeah.
Okay. I don't hear much about him anymore.
Nah, he was saying some stuff earlier, and I guess somebody told him to shut up, and he just kind of would.
Well, he needed to be quiet.
Just be quiet.
He needed
Sit
to be
in the corner somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, he needs to be quiet. How you doing, Scott? You good?
Love you guys. Bishop Leon was up here. He sends his love. He went back yesterday.
Leon was up?
Yes, sir.
Tell him I said hello, please.
I definitely will. Peace. God bless you.
All right, talk to you now. So, what did you think of the Supreme Court allowing Trump's tax record to be sent to Congress? What did you think about that? Did you expect it?
No, because it kept blocking it all the time. Either there's nothing there, which I doubt that, or I don't know, because I mean now that he put his campaign out that he's going to run for office. Okay. Now we're seeing Justice Department going to start doing this. Tax is going to be released.
Yeah, I
think they're trying to stop him from.
Yeah,
because anybody can run for president.
Yeah, no matter what.
Don't matter. You could be a murderer and run for president.
Yeah.
But I think they hitched their wagon to him. They realized they got what they wanted, but with the consequences, now they're.
You brought up the fact that the evangelicals are now trying to say that they were duped.
Yeah, some of them are saying we were duped.
They weren't duped.
No. They knew.
I think I still have the tape that was sent to me by one of the evangelicals that I know. He was at the meeting where, if you do this, I'll do that, was the agenda.
Yeah.
So they were under no misconception.
It was an agreement.
Oh, yeah. You give us this, and we won't say a word when you mess up.
Yeah.
And they were deathly silent.
Yeah. Because if he won again, they'd be on his side.
Absolutely.
If midterms went fine.
Absolutely. And a couple of the ones that I know, and they're not all evangelicals, some of them are Pentecostals, embarrassed themselves at such a level that I haven't heard much from them after that.
Some of them, unfortunately, are still out here prophesying that God's going to overturn the election.
Which election are they talking about?
The 2020 election, that Trump really won, and God's going to reveal it, and he's going to. They're literally still prophesying this mess.
They're not letting it go?
They're not letting it go. Some of them are like delusional.
And what bothers me is I know 2 or 3 of these people.
Yep.
But, unfortunately for me, being a guy that really likes people, all kinds of people, and has all kinds of, acquaintances and friends around the world, it pains me that some of the people that I thought I knew had these very intense, hidden opinions, and I'll use this about me because, I'm an African American man, so you can't have it about everybody else and not have it about me.
Yep.
So I just, I'm not an exception that makes me another ethnicity.
Yes. Yep.
And some of the guys that I know that I've been going to fellowship with for years really showed themselves during this time, and they are not backing down.
They are not.
But it tells me they were willing to spend the relationships that they had, which really they weren't that important.
It just showed me more in their lack of faith, their fear, or whatever, of using this politics, quote unquote, to get God's will done on the earth. Which I think, anytime we see the marriage of church and state, it always ends horribly.
Well, they're supposed to be separate. They're not supposed to be. We're not supposed to be influencing government, and they're not supposed to be influencing religion.
Yeah, They got. It's crazy how I think most of it goes back to they got so scared because a black man became a president.
Yeah, it was a reaction.
You're right. They just went all the way to the other side.
You're right.
Because again, before that, Barack Obama had the family thing they all talked about.
No, he checked all the boxes. He checked all the boxes. All the boxes.
But the fact that he was a black man, because they didn't do it with Clinton, they didn't do all.
He checked all the boxes.
That's the only thing I can.
Great family, great image,
church,
education, church, socially involved. He checked every box that we should have as a nation said. Here you go.
Yeah.
The only thing standing in the way was the way they looked.
Yeah. And it's not this whole he was the most left president. No, he wasn't.
No,
we all know he actually got on the left nerves because he was so centered, which I think he should have been.
Well, he's supposed to be president for everybody. Yeah. It says United States last time I read it.
Yeah.
Okay. But we're at times it looks like we're electing officials who are presidents and congressmen and senators of divided states.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's 9:55.
We didn't get to nothing.
we kind of centered on. I wanted to talk a little bit about the shooting and all, but we can do that next week. Elizabeth Holmes got sentenced to 11 years.
Yeah.
That was a big scam, man.
That was a huge scam. She looks. You know, you got that eyes thing.
Yeah, man. She's off. She's off, man. Yeah, Elizabeth Holmes and the Theranos.
Yeah.
And that was entirely smoke and mirrors.
Absolutely. And they told her your stuff don't work, and she just kept pushing it.
Mm-hmm.
That money, that drive to succeed, just.
I wonder how she thought she was gonna get away with it.
Yeah, eventually something was going to. But she looks delusional to me.
Well,
she
yeah.
looks,
In order to hustle people, you got to think you're the smartest person in the room all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
You can't go in there thinking they're not going to believe me.
Yeah, right.
You know, you can't do a Moses. Yeah. Who shall I say sent me? Who shall I say believe me? Who's going to believe me? You can't do that.
Yeah.
So anyway, tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., we want you to join us on our virtual service as we're continuing our rhythm series, but we're in the prayer part of that series. A very important part of your spiritual life, and also the power God gives you to exercise faith in the earth is most often through prayer. So we want you to join us 8 a.m. for our virtual service. We're having a tremendous time in worship and praise and word. And then 11 a.m. we're indoors. We're live, in person, indoors, here at the church. For those who have registered for this service this week, you're doing a great job. We are controlling the numbers, steadily going up every week, trying to make sure our system is working properly. No one's getting sick. We're having a very safe, wonderful time praising the Lord. I want you to get ready. Our New Year's Eve service we're going to have will be in-house. There'll be no more than maybe 800, 900 people in the building. So when you see that notice, you want to jump on board and register. Make sure you're vaccinated so we can come to church and not worry about catching something while we're sitting here trying to give God glory. Registration for next week's service starts 6 o'clock tomorrow. 6 o'clock Sunday evening, registration for the following Sunday. If you have a prayer request, email it to us at social@go2bethany.com. social@go2bethany.com. Remind you to subscribe to David G. Evans 1 and BBC of NJ on YouTube. That again is David G. Evans, the number 1, and BBC of NJ on YouTube. Subscribe to both of those. Don't miss a thing that we present to you. You're going to love it. Some of the old stuff has been coming up, and I'm really enjoying it. Subscribe to the DGEMS, DGEMS, and OnPointe podcast platforms. What else we have? Anything, Pastor Nick? Thank everybody for your help. And the Thanksgiving season, we were able to bless hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. Thank you for your donations. Thank you for those that volunteered. Thank you for coming out and making the day a success. Yep. Of course, this is the time of year when we do a lot of things. One of our local schools said they needed some coats. I want to thank those of you who donated and brought coats down to the church. We were able to give hundreds of coats to the kids in elementary school just in time because the weather changed. We were able to help them. So we want you to remember this. For Pastor Nicholas Smith, I'm Bishop David G. Evans. This has been On Point. We call ourselves the number 1 Saturday morning Christian-based call-in talk show in America. We are enjoying our time with you. Pastor Nick, you have anything else that you want to talk about?
No, just a Bible study. That's December the 7th.
December the 7th is our first one.
First one in person, so about 2 weeks.
First in-person Bible study.
Yeah, and we'll run the registration for that.
Yeah, registration for that. And for those of you that are wondering why we're doing it, we're staging gatherings. So we're having our Bible study in our evening. We'll see how that goes, see how we're controlling the crowd and the atmosphere, making sure people are not getting ill. Then we'll stage in our noonday Bible study and just we're taking our time to keep you safe. Don't become frustrated because we're trying to keep you safe. Well, I'm everywhere else. I'm at the Walmart. What we're trying to do is make sure you don't get sick at church.
Right.
Okay. Well, can't control wherever you go, but we're trying to make sure you don't get sick at church. Take something home to your families. We want to come and have a good time praising the Lord, so we're taking all the precautions. And in case you haven't seen it or heard it, we're having an incredible time in worship and the Word prayer. The atmosphere is just electric.
Yep.
I'm so glad you're joining us. Well, for Pastor Nicholas Smith, I'm Bishop David G. Evans. Remember, faith acts like a thing is so, even when it's not so, that it might be so. We'll see you next time on Point.